Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, and good day. Thank you so much for joining me today on the Community Ledger. And again, my name is Andrea Banu. Now, listen, I wanted this Sunday morning to be calm, cool, and collected. However, these Democrats, woo, they hot. They coming out here, they acting a fool over the fact that Trump is talking about giving us Americans some of their money back. Yes, they are. They are making their rounds. They cutting the food, and it's got me hot. I'm not only hot emotionally, I'm hot figuratively. Okay, I'm sweating because I'm so upset. But I'm gonna go ahead and jump in it. You know, I already got my cup of coffee. If you don't have yours, get it, and let's go ahead and start the show. Yes, yes. Again, thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Andrea Banu. If you have not already, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that I can continue to make this content. We can continue this dialogue. So the reason I had to go ahead and make this video today, because like I said earlier, the Democrats are coming out and they showing their ass. They are pissed. They got the nerve to be upset that Trump and Doge are playing with the idea of actually giving Americans some money, which is insane. So the gentleman I'll go back a little bit. So apparently someone on X mentioned why not have Trump go ahead and play with the idea of giving Americans some of this money back, since you guys are making all these savings, since you guys uncovering all this fraud and you finding all these savings. Why don't you tell Trump to give us some of that money back? And so Elon Musk was like, listen, I'll tell the president. The very next day, Trump spoke on Air Force One and was like, you know what, I'm open to the idea. I'm playing with the idea now. So another gentleman came together. He's a business owner and was like, hurried up and typed something up and got it to the president. Okay, so now it is like officially on the president's desk to really start looking at the possibility of giving Americans a stimulus so we can get some of this tax money back. And so now that this looks like this actually may happen, the Democrats are mad. But I want to hear the gentleman who proposed this and got it to the president and how CNN is reacting to it. I want you to see this. You got to see it. Let me go ahead and press pause on that.
I'm Michael Smerconish in Philadelphia. Doge, they say they're about to show us the money.
Let me go ahead and start over because you got to see
Doge dividend quite yet. I'm Michael Smerconish in Philadelphia. Doge, they say they're about to show us the money. The Department of Government Efficiency, led by Elon Musk, is claiming to have saved taxpayers approximately $55 billion through various cost-cutting measures. They're breaking down how they claim they're doing it on the department's website. For example, just yesterday, Doge published its latest cost-cutting measure. They say that it resulted in a value of up to $235 million in savings. It's also pointing out wasteful spending with posts like this, showing how taxpayers spent over $20 million on a boarded-up building over the course of 20 years. There's also a wall of receipts listing savings on the website detailing canceled contracts and terminated leases as part of the department's, they say, transparency initiative. And now there's a new potential layer to these Doge savings that's gaining steam across social media to give us some of that money back. It's called the Doge dividend, and it was explained in a 4-page plan that was introduced this week on X, breaking down how every taxpayer would get a $5,000 tax refund check funded exclusively with a portion of the total savings delivered by Doge, so long as Musk's goal of $2 trillion in federal savings is met. The tweet was from an investor and CEO, James Fishback, who's been a guest at Mar-a-Lago and has ties to both Trump and former Doge official Vivek Ramaswamy. Well, the idea grabbed Elon Musk's attention, who replied he'd checked with the president. It appears that he did because one day later, President Trump expressed interest in this proposal.
There's even under consideration a new concept where we give 20% of the Doge savings to American citizens and 20% goes to paying down debt, because the numbers are incredible.
So with attention comes scrutiny. With Doge, the accuracy of its reported savings being called into question. For instance, an initial claim of saving $8 billion by canceling a single Immigration and Customs Enforcement ICE contract was later revised to $8 million after discovering a clerical error. And that's not all. Critics are calling Musk out for the haphazard way that he's approaching cost cutting. There's the firings, then rehirings across agencies, questions about transparency, conflicts of interest, the true dollar amount of these savings being questioned, and the long-term impact of the overhaul. Well, who better to answer some of these questions than James Fishback, the CEO of Azoria, the originator of the Doge dividend. James, thank you for being here. How did this all come?
Now, I'm going to go ahead and pause it and highlight it because this is going to get crazy. This back and forth is crazy.
Come to pass.
Well, good morning, Michael. To tell you the truth, it came to me in a dream. I woke up, I called our head of research at Azoria. We met at Capitol Grill. We fleshed this thing out in 2 hours, and I'm honored that the president has endorsed it. This is a real plan to send the savings that Doge generates over the next couple of years right back into the pockets of hardworking Americans all across this country. They deserve it. It was their money in the first place, and they need a break.
Okay, I'm all for ridding the government of waste, fraud, and abuse. But at some level, isn't it all illusory? In other words, if there's a quote-unquote savings made by Elon Musk and Doge, we're still $36 trillion in debt. So there's no pie to cut up. There's no slice of the pizza that I can hand back to you unless we continue to borrow those funds.
Our plan's really...
So check what he just said. I'm going to go ahead and rewind it a little bit. He's all for saving money for the government, but he didn't say it, but is alluding to, I'm cool with saving money, but I'm not cool with none of the savings going back to the people. I'm gonna go ahead and rewind it.
This contract was later revised to $8 million after discovering a clerical error, and that's not all. Question. For instance,
I don't even care about that. I want to get back to where you said you cool with.
Well, who better to answer some of these questions than James Fishback, the CEO of Azoria, the originator of the Doge dividend. James, thank you for being here. How did this all come to pass?
Well, good morning, Michael. To tell you the truth, it came to me in a dream. I woke up, I called our head of research at Azoria. We met at Capitol Grill. We fleshed this thing out in 2 hours, and I'm honored that the president has endorsed it. This is a...
And he said it all came to him in a dream. You know what that means? That wasn't nobody but God. That wasn't nobody but God. He was asleep, and God said, get them people their money back. And he woke up and was like, oh my God, I got to tell the president. That wasn't nobody but God.
Real plan to send the savings that Doge generates over the next couple of years right back into the pockets of hardworking Americans all across this country. They deserve it. It was their money in the first place, and they need a break.
Okay, I'm all for ridding the government of waste, fraud, and abuse.
I'm all for ridding the government of waste, fraud, and abuse. But
at some level, isn't it all illusory? In other words, if there's a quote-unquote savings made by Elon Musk and Doge, we're still $36 trillion in debt. So there's no pie to cut up. There's no slice of the pizza that I can hand back to you unless we continue to borrow those funds.
Our plan's really simple. Over the next couple of years, Doge will save a set amount of money. We're going to take 20% of that and put it right back in the hands of taxpayers. The other 80, as President Trump has pointed out, will go back to paying down the debt and narrowing the deficit. Here's the truth, Michael. For every $5 that Doge saves, as we believe, calculated by the Congressional Budget Office, when this whole project is said and done next summer, for every $5, $1 goes back to the pockets of American taxpayers. Here's why. They sent their money to D.C. to be spent in America, not to be abused, not to be disrespected, and not to be defrauded. That
Right.
$20 million to Iraqi Sesame Street, that money sent for a transgender opera in Colombia, all at the same time, Michael, that we have roads and bridges crumbling. We're losing 900 Americans every day to deaths of despair, alcoholism, and suicide. 8 out of 10 black American fourth graders are not even reading at grade level. This is pathetic. The Americans sent their money to be spent in America. They were defrauded. They were lied to. They now deserve restitution. And the second point that President Trump, just one sec, Michael, the second.
Again, that word, I mentioned it in my last video, restitution. That means a crime has been committed and you need to atone for that. Restitution. Okay?
point that President Trump brought up on Air Force One is that these Doge dividends will incentivize Americans to report waste, fraud, and abuse in their own community. Why? Why? Because the more that Doge saves, the bigger their Doge dividend check will be. Remember, in economics, show me the incentive and I'll show you the outcome. We're giving every American.
I'm going to get to the economics. Come on, I gave you a chance for a great sound bite. You got and those.
You see how he belittled him? I gave you the chance for a great soundbite. Like, this is all just fairy tale. This is fairy tale, illusionary. This is all play. I gave you the opportunity for a great soundbite. This is how serious they are taking this concept and respecting the gentleman here on the platform. I gave you the opportunity for a great soundbite. I mean, wow.
Soft power exercises make for great sound bites, but when you drill down, for example, on Sesame Street in Iraq, they often make sense. Joseph Nye from Harvard, who gets credited with the coinage of the word soft power, you'd rather spend on that than bullets. But wait, you want to talk about
there was
the
a terrorist attack in Iraq last month.
This is crazy. Like, this is crazy. He is literally stating that there are benefits of having Sesame Street in Iraq, and that's supposed to be okay with American citizens. Now, this guy just mentioned how fourth graders are not even reading at grade level. And that is what American taxpayers are investing in. However, he feels like it is okay to send those American tax dollars to fund Sesame Street and other countries. American children aren't reading at grade level here. That needs to be your focus. And he tries to sit here and say that kind of money and that kind of wasteful spending is justified. Now, at the beginning of the podcast, he stated he was all for saving money, digging out wasteful spending and fraud. And now that we're starting to mention some of that wasteful spending and how that's not deserving of American taxpayers and that's not what they intended their tax dollars to go toward, you want to justify it.
That killed 40 people. It's clearly not working. Soft power and Sesame Street are not working. If there are terrorists, we need to kill the terrorists. We don't need to fund Big Bird and Elmo.
Maybe the terrorist would have been better off watching Big Bird than learning in a madrasa. Let me make my point. Put on the screen from the Peterson Foundation. This is where the rubber meets the road. We are $36 trillion in debt. I don't know if you can see that, but that's 106,121 for every single person in America. So if Elon Musk is successful in saving us money from waste, fraud, and abuse, and by the way, James, I hope that he is. I don't like the approach, but I like the fact that something's being done. There is no money in the till. We owe $36 trillion. We owe $106,000 each. So whatever the savings ought to be, it's not like President Trump's doing us a favor by giving us 20%. Everything ought to go to the debt because the Peterson people say by 2050, 50% of all revenue is going to go to satisfying interest on the debt. We should be paying the debt. Your response?
My response is this. We should be paying the debt, which is why the Doge dividend incentivizes every American to call out waste, fraud, and abuse, to lower the budget, to narrow the deficit, and to bring down the debt. Where was this emergency over the debt when we sent $350 billion to Ukraine to be wasted? Where was this emergency, Michael, on CNN when you guys were advocating $7,000 to migrants in Chicago?
Look, that's funny to him. Like the debt, when we talk about money going back into the pockets of Americans, we don't have no time for that. We got to worry about the debt. We have a debt that's too big. We can't be spending no money on Americans. But he's like, where was the outrage when we were sending all that damn money to Ukraine? Where was all the outrage when you were spending all that money on illegal immigrants? None of which have paid into our country. Nobody, none of the Ukrainians, nobody from abroad, immigrants have paid taxes into all of this slush fund that y'all just keep spurling out to everybody, divvying out to the whole world. You didn't give a damn about the debt then, okay? You could care less about what this country owed. But now that he's talking about, well, since we saved so much, why don't let's just cut a check for Americans? Oh, wait a minute. No, we ain't got time for that. No, we got to worry about the debt. Really? Really?
$7,000 a month per migrant.
That's funny.
And now we want to spend $5,000 one time from President Trump to hardworking Americans. The migrants didn't deserve $7,000 a month. Hardworking Americans deserve a $5,000 check with President Trump's name on it. So enough with the double standard. Ukraine did not deserve $350 billion.
Okay, listen to me. Listen to me. This is Madoff-like.
Right. $350 billion sent to Ukraine. And you're talking about giving $5,000 to Americans, and it's a problem. It's a problem. That is what the Democrats are on right now. And they wonder why they lost. They wonder why they lost. $360 billion sent to Ukraine. $7,000 a month for migrants, to house migrants, feed migrants here in the United States. And they're talking about $5,000 of tax-paying dollars going back into the pockets of Americans, and it's a problem. That is the problem with our government right now. That is the problem, and that is exactly why Trump won. Because this is crazy. This is crazy. That's why I'm so hot this morning. That is why I am so hot.
This is a Ponzi scheme.
No, Ukraine is a Ponzi scheme. The migrant funding was a Ponzi scheme. Hardworking Americans deserve a break.
James,
it was their money, Michael. It was their money.
James, give me a chance to speak. Theoretically, it's my program. We don't have the money, is what I'm trying to tell you. It's a Ponzi.
So we didn't have the money for Ukraine, right? We didn't have the money for Ukraine. $350 billion.
I never do this.
And you can't answer that.
Guy. And do I have to silence your microphone so that I can respond to what you said? Because there's so much fallacy.
But you notice he can't answer that. We were in debt. We didn't have the money, but all of a sudden, miraculously, we had enough money to send to Ukraine. We had enough money to house all these migrants. But now we don't have enough money when it comes to talking about giving money to the Americans. You see, and when asked, he can't even answer that. All he can say is, do you want me to have to turn your mic off? I'm going to turn your mic off. But you can't answer the question. You want to turn his mic off because you don't have no answers to that question, and you know it's complete bullshit, and you look crazy. You look crazy right now.
In what you've just offered.
Please go ahead and refute it.
I have a very simple premise here. We're $36 trillion in debt. It's a fraud. As much as I want to see us cut waste, fraud, and abuse, it is an absolute fraud to say to the American people, because of what Musk is doing, we have $5,000 to give each of you. The only way we have $5,000 is if we're borrowing it, because we're that far in debt. I'm trying to meet you halfway, which is simply to say, what a good thing that finally we're going to look at waste, fraud, and abuse, albeit it shouldn't be in this haphazard fashion. But let's at least be honest with the American people that whatever we quote unquote save, we already owe. Now I'm going to give you 30 seconds to respond, and then I'm going to say, see you later. Go ahead.
Wow.
Michael, let me say this. We're fellow Americans. We care about this issue, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to come on this program, but I got to speak truth here. At the end of the day, we've got to send the money back that is saved, just 20% of it. The other 80% goes down to paying the national debt and narrowing the deficit. To your point, yes, there has been a fraud against the American people, the Green New Scam, Ukraine, the migrant crisis. Their taxpayer dollars were sent abroad, were not sent at home, were not spent in America, not on health care, not on education. That ends with President Trump's leadership today. He is delivering on his promise of major government reform, Michael. The DOGE dividend plan is bold, and Americans support it.
All right, I'm calling time on all of that. I appreciate your being here. I think we've each, I hope, made our
BS. He didn't have not one rebuttal. Not one rebuttal. Why do Americans not deserve any money? You can send all this money all over the world. Why is it that Americans don't deserve any of their money back? Nobody can answer that. Nobody from the Democratic Party can answer that. How is it that you have all of these people in Ukraine can get billions and billions of dollars of tax-paying dollars, American dollars, and yet they deserve that? All of these migrants can come over here and eat and live off American taxpayer dollars. But as soon as somebody asks you, why is it that Americans can't get a check? No, we got a debt to worry about it. So it's obvious that when this man ran on America First, that was the exact opposite of the desires of the Democratic Party. The complete opposite. Democrats want Americans to receive last, if ever at all. If y'all can just continue to take your asses to work and pay your bills and paying these taxes every damn week, every 2 weeks, however often you get paid, and make sure that this government has its money so we can do whatever the hell we want to do with it. That's all that matters to us. As long as y'all just be quiet, be still, and don't ask for nothing, all is right with the world. No, it's not. No, it's not. Okay, there is no reason for America to be as rich as it is, to be claimed to be the most powerful country in the world, yet Americans are out here suffering. And Americans are said enough is enough, and the Democrats still ain't figured it out. And so I want to tell you, show you this. Let me put this up here and pause it before she started talking, because you know Miss Jasmine Crockett is a hot mess every day of the week. And she is appalling. But I want you to hear what she had to say about these $5,000 that Trump's trying to give to the people.
We are not in the business of giving out money, and honestly,
We are not in the business of giving out money. We are not in the business of giving out money. Now, that wasn't said when they went ahead and approved all that money for Ukraine. That was not said when you approved all this money for all these researches for shrimps on treadmills and transgender operas all over the world. You ain't say none of that. You ain't say none of that when you was loading thousands and thousands of dollars on EBT cards for immigrants. But now that somebody's talking about some of that money coming back to Americans, we're not in the business of giving handouts. We're not in the business of paying, of just writing checks to folks.
know what $5,000 will do for you.
I'm playing it again.
We are not in the business of giving out money. And honestly, I don't know what $5,000 will do for you if you are unable to find a job, because I am telling people.
Do you hear this madness? Do you hear this madness? I honestly don't know what $5,000 would do for you if you're having a hard time finding a job. Excuse my language, but B, that's going to pay some of my bills. If I don't have no job, $5,000 ain't going to help me eat. $5,000 not going to pay my rent. $5,000 not going to pay for my child care. $5,000 not going to allow me to get on the internet and pay my internet bill so that I can find a job. $5,000 is going to do a lot for somebody that don't have no job. A lot. How dare you get on an international platform and say, honestly, I don't know what $5,000 is going to do for you. I mean, how removed, how disillusioned can you possibly be? And you got the nerve to be a black woman, and you know your people out here suffering. You know your community is out here robbing Peter to pay Paul. I don't know what $5,000 is going to do for you. Well, guess what? I do. I know exactly what it's going to do. I looked it up. Where it's at. I just did a simple, very simple Google search. The average cost of groceries for a family of four in America is between $567 to $1,296 per month. Oh, that's going to pay for some groceries. That's going to pay some folks groceries for 3 to 5 months. Several months. Miss Jasmine Crockett. What is the average cost of rent for a family of four in America? $1,670 per month for a 2-bedroom rental home. That's going to pay some rent for some folks, okay? Several months rent, more than 1 month's rent with $5,000. So for somebody that don't have no job, that's going to hold them down for a couple months. That's going to allow them to be able to pay rent. It's going to allow them to be able to feed their family while looking for a job. What's the average cost of childcare in the United States? Infant daycare is roughly $650 to $1,500 per month. Oh, that's going to pay for me to actually continue to send my kids to daycare so that I can go on interviews. Yeah, because you don't know what $5,000 is going to do for you. Let me go down. What is the monthly cost of car insurance? Roughly $69 to $175. That's going to pay my car insurance for 5 months or more. Are you serious right now? That can pay my car insurance for a year. $5,000 check. The average monthly payment for credit card debt in the United States was $273. You realize how much credit card debt could be paid down with $5,000 coming from the government? Now check this out. Miss Jasmine Crockett don't know what $5,000 could possibly do for you as Americans. But Miss Jasmine Crockett is estimated to be worth $9 million as of 2025, in addition to the $174,000 salary she's supposed to be making. She only supposed to be making $174,000 a year, but yet her net worth is $9 million. Her net worth is $9 million, so she don't know what $5,000 is gonna do for you. I
We are not in the business of giving out money. And honestly, I don't know what $5,000 will do for you if you are unable to find a job, because I am telling people we are headed towards a recession because the United States government is the 15th largest employer in the world. And so firing those that work for the federal government isn't going to necessarily create new jobs in private industry. In fact,
but what I want to know, Miss Jasmine Crockett, is why you weren't worried about that when you was putting all these migrants in here, when you was sending all these migrants in here by the millions to take jobs away from Americans. You weren't worried about unemployment then. You weren't worried about loss of jobs then. So why are you worried about it now? That's what I want to know, Miss Jasmine Crockett. And I want you to see what some other folks on the internet are saying to Miss Jasmine. You got to play this gentleman because he goes off. Let me play this. Let me pull it up and pull it all the way back because he is raging mad. He is mad as I am today. He is hot about this Miss Jasmine Crockett situation.
What up, fam? I truly believe everybody got like an inner gay animal. And my inner gay animal is a peacock. And I'm going to let it out right now to Representative Jasmine Crockett. Hold on, bitch. Who the fuck is you coming out, got the nerve to say Americans don't need no $5,000? Look, bitch, I was working with your black ass and your little weave and your little hand motions and all that. But what the fuck you mean Americans don't need $5,000? Bitch, is you crazy? Do you know what I could do with $5,000? Child, I've been needing to get a BBL and get these things pushed up. What the fuck is you talking about? My feathers is not vibrant and flamboyant as bright as they used to be. Bitch, you better sit your ass down somewhere. Your little BV ass. You need to go wash your funky pissy girl. Talking about Americans don't need 5,000. Bitch, just because you got it don't mean we ain't got them coins like that. Trump, sit this bitch down. Treason. What's your rabbit ass mind, Jasmine Crockett? Fuck is wrong with you? Talking about we don't need no $5,000. You better sit your little black ass down somewhere, hunty.
Oh my God. He said treason. Treason. Yes, that is treasonous. For you to sit here and take all this money from all these Americans and then send it all over the world. And then when a president come in here and say Americans deserve some of that money back, deserve to have that invested in their households instead of going all over the world. You want to come in here and cut a fool. You want to come in here and shut it down. You want to come in here and spew all this nonsense. Like it is, appalling. That is treasonous. And you know what? It just dawned on me. I said this whole time we all been growing up voting for Democrats, lining up for Democrats, campaigning for Democrats, thinking they gonna be on our side. They gonna be the ones to lead the charge. They gonna get us to the promised land, right? We've been, we got to do it right. We got to file a bill. We got to get some people in office. The whole time we've been sleeping with the enemy. And I pulled up an article, and I'm going to pull it up because I'm going to read a little excerpt from it. Because we all know this to be true. But it's this article, I'm going to end up putting it in the description. It says the inconvenient truth about the Democratic Party. Let me see if I can just go ahead and pull it up. And then I'm going to go ahead and apologize for earlier, because the gentleman, I was laughing at him so hard that I messed up the video. But hopefully you can forgive me. Let me put this article up. Oh, where's it? Okay, let me put it up all the way. And I'm going to read it. Okay, I want to read an excerpt of this because I want you to be reminded of exactly who the Democrats are. The Inconvenient Truth About the Democratic Party by Carol Swain. When you think about racial equality and civil rights, which political party comes to mind? The Republicans or the Democrats? Most people will probably say the Democrats, but this answer is incorrect. Since its founding in 1829, the Democratic Party has fought against every major civil rights initiative and has a long history of discrimination. The Democratic Party defended slavery, started the Civil War, opposed Reconstruction, founded the KKK, imposed segregation, perpetuated lynchings, and fought against the Civil Rights Act of the 1950s and 1960s. Let all that marinate. Just for a minute. So now that we on this new trajectory of really uncovering the truth about some things, let's go ahead and dig up the truth in regards to this Democratic Party. Okay. In contrast, the Republican Party was founded in 1854 as an anti-slavery party. Its mission was to stop the spread of slavery into the new Western territories with the aim of abolishing it entirely. This effort, however, was dealt a major blow by the Supreme Court. In the 1857 case Dred Scott versus Sanford, the court ruled that slaves aren't citizens, they're property. The 7 justices who voted in favor of slavery, all Democrats. The 2 justices who dissented, both Republicans. The slavery question was, of course, ultimately resolved by a bloody civil war. The commander-in-chief during that war was the first Republican president, Abraham Lincoln, the man who freed the slaves. 6 days after the Confederate Army surrendered, John Wilkes Booth, a Democrat, assassinated President Lincoln. Lincoln's vice president, a Democrat named Andrew Johnson, assumed the presidency, but Johnson adamantly opposed Lincoln's plan to integrate the newly freed slaves into the South's economic and social order. Johnson and the Democratic Party was unified in their opposition to the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery, the 14th Amendment, which gave blacks citizenship, and the 15th Amendment, which gave blacks the right to vote. All 3 passed only because of universal Republican support. During the era of Reconstruction, federal troops stationed in the South helped secure rights for the newly freed slaves. Hundreds of black men were elected to Southern state legislators as Republicans, and 22 black Republicans served in the U.S. Congress by 1900. The Democrats did not elect a black man to Congress until 1935. So, now that we have gotten a little bit of truth in regards to this Democratic Party, it's time that we make some changes. If we're going to really have a conversation about breaking generational curses, we're going to have to break our tie to this Democratic Party. We cannot allow our children and grandchildren to be on the same path and the same trajectory and the same influence and the same everything that the same, I don't even know what is it, the same spell that the Democratic Party has put us under and put our grandparents under for so many years. It's time to stop. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that all of y'all need to go ahead and vote Republican. I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying is you need to back away from that Democratic Party. And if we got to create a third party or revamp or just demolish the Democratic Party and create something else, then that's what we're going to have to do. Because this ain't it. This ain't it. That Democratic Party is a damn fool. Okay? Real talk. These people have no problem sending all your tax-paying dollars to everybody in the world. But as soon as somebody say, well, why don't we keep some of this money at home so that the people here that's actually struggling can get ahead and be a little bit comfortable? It's like, hell no. They don't want no parts in that. And I'm going to tell you why. Because Democrats actually want this to be a class system. They want this to be a class system of the filthy rich and the dirt poor. And they want your ass to be dirt poor. They okay with them getting kickbacks. They okay with them being able to get in Congress and make money off all of these wars and all this stuff going on abroad and all these little silly ass surveys and research studies. They making kickbacks on all that. That's how they're able to walk away with millions. They want you to stay exactly where you are, which is on the bottom. So as far as I'm concerned, Democrats ain't no kind of friend of mine. Democrats are not a friend of my community or nobody I love. And I'm going to go ahead and let it be known. I'm going to let it be known. We have got to stop with the madness. It's time to sever that tie. We don't need to be out here campaigning for nobody. Not even Trump. If they not talking about making things better for our community, if they not talking about tangibles like they say, and I'm not talking about that nonsense, them HR 40 reparations study bullshit that's been going on for 30 years. Miss me with all that. No, ma'am. If they not talking about some real change and some real progress, they do not deserve our votes. They do not deserve our participation. And the problem with the Democratic Party right now is they've been used to giving us nothing in exchange for our votes. And the truth of the matter is they really don't want to give you nothing. They never had a desire nor a plan to give you nothing. And that's why they can't get it together now. Because they like, how in the world are we going to get back on top? How in the world are we going to get all these Negroes back to the polls, but at the same time without giving them shit? And they can't figure it out. That's the problem. They can't figure it out. They don't have nobody suave enough or cool enough or manipulative enough to convince our asses to get back on that Democratic plantation. And that's why you don't see nobody head of their party. Because they ain't found the right one. And when that right one arrives, you better believe he gonna come with some nonsense. And I'm gonna be digging all through it. Okay? Because we see what Obama brought. We already know what Kamala was trying to bring. We can't be fooled no more. You cannot pull the wool over our eyes anymore. It is a new day. It is a new time. I don't know what is going to happen to America these 4 years that Trump is in office, but it feels like it is a serious transition. A serious transition. I don't know what America is going to look like, but it's going to be different. It's damn sure going to be different. And if that means black people as a whole level up, get their reparations, start making money, start building for self, start buying with each other, and start just growing and standing on business, I'm all for it. That's what America needs to look like. That is the American utopia that everybody talks about. That's the beacon on the hill. The beacon on the shining hill. We are supposed to be the example. America is the shit because we here. Let's just keep it a buck. Okay? Let's just keep it a buck. All over the world, whether you're in Europe, whether you're in Africa, whether you're in Australia and China, they all watching us. So we are the ones who are going to have to change this system up. Now listen, I'm going to go ahead and put this disclaimer out. I'm not telling nobody to go out and start cutting the fool. No, I'm not inciting violence. I'm not inciting no riots. But what I am doing is trying to get y'all to think, organize, restructure, rearrange, and make real moves. Because now is the time. Okay? Now is the time. Like I said, when that man said he had a dream, that wasn't nobody but God. That wasn't nobody but God. Getting people back their money. And I'm here for it. I am here for it. And so, like I said, I woke up, I was supposed to have me a cool, calm, collected Sunday, and then these Democrats got on here talking crazy. And I had to come and share the news, share some more of this truth with you, so you know what these Democrats are really about, okay? Don't get on the CNN and let them fool you. They don't care about you. They do not give a damn about you. And they just hoping you too blind to understand and see it. So what say you? What is your opinion? Please, please, please tell me your opinion about what is happening with this Democratic Party. And please tell me whether or not you are in support of this stimulus check. I hope that you are, because everybody deserves it. We all deserve it. If you are working, if you are an American citizen, you done earned it. Okay, you deserve it. I don't care if you got millions and millions of dollars. If you didn't pay taxes, you deserve to get some of that money back. Okay, if you unemployed, you deserve to get a hand up. You deserve to have some weight lifted off your back because you are an American citizen and you've earned it. Period. So again, thank you so much for joining me. If you have not already, please do like, share, and subscribe. Again, my name is Andrea Banu, and this is The Community Ledger. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and watch the next video by clicking right here.